Hi, everyone, and another episode of Bengals Locker Room Conversations. I'm Joe Danneman. He is Jeremy Rao. We are inside the press conference room here at Paycor Stadium. But in this episode, we'll take you inside the Bengals locker room. You will hear from Mike Gesicki. You will hear from new quarterback Sean Clifford, who's also from Cincinnati, and linebacker Demetrius Knight ahead of the Bengals game on Sunday against Minnesota. But dominating the conversation this week, as you can imagine, is the big change at quarterback with Joe Burrow injured and now Jake Browning in.
So talking today with, Zach Taylor and, of course, Jake Browning and everyone here, I just found it fascinating that Zach Taylor didn't like the term gunslinger when talking about Jake Browning, but certainly you understand that title because Jake Browning feels like a guy who is unafraid to let it fly, and they like the way he plays as far as that fearless factor goes with Jake Browning's game. But I wanted to ask Mike Gesicki today about Jake Browning. He did not play with Jake in 2023. Mike was not here yet, but certainly you'll notice here, talking with Mike Gesicki, he believes that everyone in the locker room believes Jake can help them win. Mike, obviously Jake Browning is the man of the hour here with the Bengals and a big talker this week. You didn't have a chance to play with him in 2023 here, but certainly you know him, you've been around him. What do you notice about him heading into a spot like this?
Yeah, I think Jake's definitely prepared. He's played and started in multiple games. Obviously was in a role similar to this 2 years ago on the back half of that season in 23, and played really good football and led this organization to multiple wins. So I think that he's now 2 years past that and more experience and has seen more, and so I think he's more than prepared for this opportunity.
He just seems like a guy who isn't afraid to let it rip. How important is that for a quarterback to play fearless like that? Yeah,
I think it's who he is. Can't quote me on it, but I think isn't he like the all-time leading passer in like Pac-12 history or something like that? I don't even know the Pac-12 is even a thing anymore, but he had the statistic when it was probably cooler than it is now. But dude can sling it. You saw that on Sunday when he was out there, cold off the bench and just went out there and threw for almost like 250 or whatever and pretty much a half of football. So I think that the coaches do a great job of understanding our personnel, understanding our playmakers and our scheme and our system and all that kind of stuff, and putting all of our guys in position to be successful. And now Jake, falls in line in that.
There have been stories of backup quarterbacks leading teams to successful seasons, playoff seasons. We don't know when Joe's going to be back. But how much do you have to believe in that, knowing this team's already 2-0 and you have a big spot here on Sunday?
You don't have to believe in it, but I do, and I know everybody in this locker room does. Jake is a competitor, first and foremost, and he's a leader and a guy that can go out there and lead us to, all the things that that we want to achieve. So I'm excited for Jake and this opportunity, and I'm gonna play my part and do what I can to go out there and make plays to help make his job easier if I can.
Vikings defense, what's maybe the biggest thing that stands out in terms of what they do well?
Yeah, it starts with their defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. I played for Flo in Miami and have a lot of history with him, and know that he's a heck of a defensive mind and a great leader. So those guys are going to play hard for him and buy into his scheme, and they do a lot of they throw a lot at you, and there's a lot to prepare for. So I think that's first and foremost, and then after that, they got a lot of talented guys on that defense as well on all three levels. So they're going to, give us a lot of different challenges, but things that we're going to prepare for and look forward to for Sunday.
I think the most important thing about a guy like Jake Browning, Joe, is that you see other quarterbacks around the league go down. Think about Tua Tagovailoa with the Dolphins. A player like Tyreek Hill is not involved as much anymore with the backup quarterbacks. With the Bengals offense, you're going to see a lot of Jamar Chase still, a lot of T. Higgins. The offense doesn't look that much different. Again, he's a guy who knows the offense well. It might look a little different, some other wrinkles, but certainly he can run this offense.
So you mentioned that Zach Taylor didn't like the word gunslinger for Jake Browning. He did use the word gamer for Jake Browning, and that speaks to his competitive level. And you think back to that viral moment that Jake Browning had when he started against the Vikings in 2023, and he said, "You shouldn't have cut me," along with some colorful language to the camera. He was asked about that midweek, and he said, look, at some point you have to move on. Understanding that Jake Browning, yes, was part of the Vikings organization. It is ironic he's starting against them this coming Sunday in his first start this season. But he also said it's somewhat easier to prepare when you know you're the starting quarterback because you get all the reps all week long leading up to Sunday, and that'll happen for Jake Browning this week as the Bengals get ready for the Vikings. But they also had to bring in some other quarterbacks because the trickle-down effect is they need bodies. They need guys in here on their practice squad. Brett Rippon is moved up. He's now the number one backup to Jake Browning. But in comes Mike White and also Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford is from Cincinnati. He played at St. Xavier High School. He played 6 years at Penn State. He's had a taste of the NFL. He was drafted by the Packers, and now he's back in his hometown and talking about playing with the Bengals.
You guys are 2-0. You are a rookie, but obviously you understand the history, the recent history of this Bengals organization. Being 2-0 is a cool thing, a great thing. A chance to be 3-0 for the first time in a decade. How meaningful would that be to go to Minnesota and get a win on Sunday?
That's the goal. The whole goal of this week, going into this week, is not focusing on the big picture, to continue to do what we're doing, continue to sharpen each other, iron sharpening iron, and the whole focus is going 1-0 this week. We're not going to look towards the main goal. We know what it is inside, but we don't want to blow everything out of proportion. So we're going to continue to chop away every week, chop people down, one win at a time. That's because we got to control the controllables, and what we control is what we put out there on display Sunday.
What do you like about what the defense has done so far through 2 weeks?
I believe that what I like is just the tenacity to, no matter what's going on, no matter what the momentum shift is, we have the mentality to put the ball down. We're here to put out the fires. Firefighters, we were called one time, I believe, by one of our coaches in defense unit meetings, and it's true. You got to go put the fire out when bad things happen, and that's what we do. We live for moments like that. That's why we train so hard during the week, so we can't go out there, let offense know we got your back. We won't let them get points. We won't let them get a field goal range, so we can get the ball back and let Jake and our quarterbacks do what they do.
Outside of this locker room, there's going to be a lot of talk about Joe Burrow not playing. You already know that.
Right.
How much belief does this team still have that it can be a special season, that this team can overcome the adversity?
Yeah, it would be remiss if we didn't say we're already doing this for each other, but now we have an even bigger chip on our shoulder because our main man, heartbeat of the team, is kind of away from us, trying to get himself back so he can come back, 100% healthy and get right. So it'll be remiss if we did not give him 100% while he's giving us 100% as he tries to get healthy and get back to us.
And one final thought here on Jake Browning before we move on to the defense. Jake Browning was asked during his press conference if he understands there are a lot of people around the league, and when I say around the league, fans around the country who watch the NFL, who say, the Bengals can't make the playoffs now because Joe Burrow isn't going to be playing for the foreseeable future. He said, listen, man, I can't pay attention to that stuff. We're in the show business, and you got to ignore that kind of stuff, and you have to perform. When asked about the confidence, he said that comes from execution. He was 4-3 as the Bengals starting quarterback in 2023. He also came back to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's had success as the Bengals starting quarterback. I think it would be unfair to count this team out right now from having a shot to make the playoffs.
Especially starting 2-0. I mean, you have that cushion to start. Now you're going to face a Vikings team who's also playing a backup quarterback in Carson Wentz, who, as Zach Taylor said, he's only been there a few weeks. Carson's been around for a minute. We get it. Zach respects him, but it is another backup quarterback. Now, the Bengals defense, and you mentioned this is funny. I was talking with Demetrius Knight Jr., and I said, you know the narrative outside this building right now, and for a long time it's going to be Joe Burrow's out, season's over. He said he understands that, and you'll see in this conversation, Demetrius believes that it is on not just him, but other guys in the locker room to win for Joe while Joe's out.
Dream come true. Yeah, I mean, I think it was really apparent to me how much I love football when you sit on the couch for 2 weeks. I called my brother, because I told him, don't take this for granted because he's playing at Penn State right now. And obviously an ex-guy, through and through, Cincy guy. But I told him, it's amazing when you take a seat and you get to reflect the difference that you feel when you get back on the grass. I was talking to Mike White today and just how happy I am to be back on the field in my hometown. I had over 300-plus messages yesterday, so if I didn't get back to you, I apologize because it was a crazy day. I try to get back to as many people as possible, but it's a lot of love. I can feel it, and I'm excited to be a part of a great team, too. I mean, already I could just tell the locker room's fantastic. The guys are fantastic, so, kudos to Zach and what he's doing here. I think it's commendable, and I'm just very, very happy to be here.
How did it feel to get that call from Cincinnati, and what was your reaction? How did that all go for you?
I was jacked. My mom was even more. I mean, I was just telling Kevin, I left the house about a decade ago, and I've probably in the last 10 years only been back about 10 times, major holiday or whatever. And the look on my mom's face when I walked in, she was like, I get to see you every day. I was like, that's not how it's going to be, but but really happy to be back. Cincinnati is home. It really is. Love Penn State. My wife's from Philly, so love Philly. But I think I always have a special place in my heart for this place. So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory from your high school days at St. X?
Oh, of course. 2016 state championship. Can't beat it. I just remember, I got to play the Buckeyes a few times in Columbus, but I think nothing will ever beat being able to win a state with all your friends and, in the city. The people that you grow up with. I moved here when I was 6. The city embraced me, and I just, from CHCA to St. X, I just was able to meet so many tremendous people here, and this place is really special. Smaller city, but we got a lot of love. Queen City for sure. So I'm just happy to be back.
Sean, what do you hope to add to this locker room and this team and roster?
Yeah, I've always thought of myself as a glue guy, somebody who you can depend on. Just be a sponge early. Not talk that much and just listen. Because I do like to talk. As these guys get to know me, I like to have a good time. I like to keep it light, but at the same time, just getting to work. Already jumping in the playbook. It's nice having Mike here too. Us coming in kind of together. I was texting him all last night questions, and we were texting back and forth. So it's nice to have somebody that you can kind of lean on through this process, but just get up to speed as fast as possible because it's just different when you don't have training camp and you can't go install to install. You're learning game plans. I felt like I was at CHCA. Had the note card, the flashcards out, drawing up my formations and whatnot, just trying to get the base foundation of this thing. But feeling really good. Practice one in the book, so all good.
Demetrius speaks with confidence. You love to see that he's played with confidence. He's played with fire. And in fact, he said there that the defense has been called firefighters by one coach because they are putting out fires. That's kind of the mantra right now with them. I think the trick is, Joe, can they start faster on defense, right? Can it look better than it did, in the last game in the first few drives? Or even against the Browns at times, can they start in a better way and then finish strong? That's the next step for the defense.
No J.J. McCarthy, and we can debate if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the Vikings. We understand he hasn't looked good in his first couple of games as a starting quarterback, but he is their starting quarterback. Also, Aaron Jones, their number one running back, he's out, although Jordan Mason has looked great so far as his change up throughout the season. So some changes on the offensive side for Minnesota as well for Demetrius Knight and this Bengals defense to deal with. Listen, this is a big stretch for the Bengals. Mm-hmm. If you believe Jake Browning can help this team get to the playoffs, we're going to find out really quickly. The next 5 weeks are against teams who all made the playoffs last season. That's Minnesota, Denver, Detroit, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. A huge 5-week stretch on deck. And it starts Sunday with the Bengals playing a road game at Minnesota. For Jeremy Rao, I'm Joe Danneman. Thanks for watching another episode of Bengals Locker Room Conversations.